Hey Nashville, Marie here. At the end of today's episode, we have got a sponsored interview with TaskRabbit. Supriya Sundaram, Director of Growth Marketing, is going to talk to me about how some home maintenance projects you may have on the to-do list and how you can hire a trusted local neighbor to get it done. Today on CityCast Nashville, with news that a proposed data center could be built near the Nashville Zoo, and more than 500,000 people signing a petition in opposition of that, we thought it was the perfect time to revisit our conversation with the zoo's Director of Marketing and Public Relations, Jim Bartu. Jim shares fascinating insights about endangered species right here in Middle Tennessee, the zoo's extensive conservation efforts, and what all of us can do to help support the Nashville Zoo and its mission. It's Thursday, June 25th. I'm Marie Cecile Anderson, and this is what Nashville's talking about. Well, Jim, welcome to CityCast Nashville.
Sure, yeah, thanks for having me.
My first zoo guy.
Well, maybe not the last.
Oh, I hope not. I really hope not, because I love the Nashville Zoo. Let's just jump into it. What kinds of endangered species are local to Nashville?
So I think when we get into that, we have to talk a little bit about what endangered means, right? A lot of people think that, animals either are or are not endangered. And there's kind of a broad spectrum for that. There's a couple of places in the world that put these animals on a spectrum, I guess a barometer. The ICUN Red List is one that we refer to quite a bit. It's kind of like a gauge from least concerned all the way up to extinct in the wild. So endangered is one of the terminology, but there's also vulnerable species and near threatened species and species of least concern and critically endangered species. Everything that I'm going to talk about in the state is listed by the state. And when I say by the state, I mean Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency or TDEC or these people that are responsible for keeping our environment whole and intact. There are several, there's many in Tennessee. A lot of fish, little fish species and bivalves or clams, freshwater species like that. There's a lot of endangerment there. And then there are a handful that we're actually working with as well. And that is hellbenders, streamside salamanders, loggerhead shrikes, Nashville crayfish, alligator snapping turtles, eastern box turtles. Those are several that Nashville Zoo is working with in conjunction with TDEC and TWRA and the other environmental organizations here in the state.
So those are endangered, correct?
Well, again, vulnerable. Yeah. Some of them are like these are vulnerable, but they're decreasing, or they're near threatened, but they're decreasing, right? It's at a point where the state says we need to intervene and do some kind of management of this species because there's trouble. Like in the case of Nashville crayfish, what we're really doing at the zoo is we're monitoring this species and have been for the past 10 years to try to determine whether the species is increasing or decreasing over the course of time. And we can talk a little bit more about and get into kind of what we're doing with that species if you want.
Yes, I absolutely want to know exactly what that means, because
Okay.
I've been researching this, and I've seen that, scientists are going out and collecting and measuring and documenting, and at a time like monitoring 400 and 500 crayfish. So please tell me how you do this. How do you survey this area?
Nashville crayfish is a species of crayfish, and that's, if you're not familiar with crayfish, it's a crawdad, kind of looks like a little lobster. And they're in our creeks all over the place. There's several different species. The Nashville crayfish can only be found in a certain section in the Mill Creek watershed area. So it's really about a couple miles stretch of the Mill Creek waterway. And that's really kind of what makes it a threatened species. Because it's in such a small range, a big weather event could wipe them out, depending on how creeks are managed. So we have been working with the state over the past 10 years to go out every year and count them roughly around the same time of year. And we'll go out to the same section and we'll look under rocks and we'll pick them up and count them and measure them and determine what sex they are and how old they are and how many of them we see together. They're very social crayfish. There's a lot, you can see a lot of them together. It's like a rave, like a big crayfish rave that you see underneath the rocks sometimes. So what we have determined, or what we have seen in our data over the past 10 years, is that the Nashville crayfish is actually increasing. What we tend to believe is that down in this Mill Creek system, in this area where these Nashville crayfish are, there are also development regulations that are put into place by the Environmental Council. When you go and build these days, you have to install retention ponds into areas. So your water isn't just running off of developed areas and right into streams. It has to go into holding areas, and there's buffer zones and all different kinds of stuff that you have to put in place. Because that is in place, we believe that that helps to protect the species. And getting back to the weather event, if you don't have these types of processes in place and you have a severe heavy rain, there's all kinds of stuff that can wash into a creek and cause a population of crayfish to just get wiped out. And when I say all kinds of stuff, you remember in 2010, we had whole houses that were being washed down creek systems and whatnot. These new building processes, these new development processes really help to kind of mitigate that process. And over the past 10 years, we believe that that's kind of helped with that system.
Well, I even read you describing saying even by washing your car with environmentally safe soap really does actually help if it runs into a local creek or a close by river I had never ever thought about that. I mean, obviously I'm trying to.
Yeah, when you go down the street and you see those drains that are in the road, those drains for the most part don't go into a system that somebody cleans up whatever it is that you're dumping down there. A lot of that goes straight into the creek systems that are around the areas where you live. So you pour solvents and paint and all that stuff down in there, it gets into the creek system. It goes right into the creeks. And that's problematic. So, yeah.
Well, I have to say, I grew up in Oak Hill area, and there was a creek right behind our house. And I was skipping rocks one day, and guess what I almost stepped on? Huge boulder.
Oh, it was a turtle.
An alligator snapping turtle.
Okay, now was it an alligator snapping turtle or just a common snapping turtle? Because there's two different species.
It was an alligator snapping turtle, according to, we had a representative from Radnor come out.
Oh, wow.
And collect this thing and poked it with the broom to try to get it going, and it snapped the broom in half. Wow. And they said that could have been my leg. So as a child, it was a close call. And whenever I go to Radnor, I think of maybe that alligator snapping turtle is still alive, because don't they last? You have one at the zoo.
We do have one at the zoo. It's very old and it's very large. And you know, you're really fortunate that you saw that, because alligator snapping turtles are also vulnerable species in the state. And the reason why is they were hunted near to extinction decades ago in the 60s and 70s when they were hunting them for food and meat. So they would pull them out of the rivers by the hundreds and use them as a food source. And so their population numbers plummeted until there was some management put into place. What Nashville Zoo has done is worked with the state to create a Head Start program. And a Head Start program is where you basically hatch and raise these animals in captivity. You get them to a certain point in their age, and then you release them back into the wild.
Well, let's talk about the Duck River. That's actually one of my absolute favorite places to kayak.
Yeah.
And Governor Bill Lee recently signed an executive order to protect the Duck River. How could this help endangered species there?
Well, to protect it means that you can't just go in and set up shop running a business right on the edge of that without going through those protections that I mentioned earlier, the development process that I mentioned earlier, with putting in retention ponds and those types of things that you need to have in place to prevent unwanted runoff into the river itself. The Duck River is massively important for the state. It has, I believe, the highest diversity of bivalves in the country, if not the world. which a lot of people don't know, but a lot of different clams species live in the Duck River. So that's it's great that he signed that.
Yeah, the last time I kayaked over the summer, the people that I was kayaking with said, do not touch the mussels, right?
Yeah.
There's all these mussels. Don't even touch them. It's illegal.
Yeah.
So it kind of scared me. Yeah. That was, so everybody listening, do not touch them. Don't mess with them.
Don't touch the mussels.
Step into a summer filled with music and history at Andrew Jackson's Hermitage. You do not want to miss Country Night on June 26th, the final concert in the inaugural Roots and Rhythms Americana Concert Series presented by Wilson Bank and Trust. Enjoy an unforgettable evening of live music, local food and drinks, and community on the historic grounds of the Hermitage. Bring a blanket or lawn chair and settle in for performances by Elizabeth Cook and Tim Easton. Hosted by Jesse Scott of WMOT Roots Radio 89.5 FM. The evening will also feature a special presentation honoring legendary songwriter and 2026 Roots and Rhythms Legacy Award recipient Steve Earle, with the award accepted on his behalf by his sister Stacey Earle. Doors open at 5 p.m. with music beginning at 7. Guests of all ages are welcome, and children 13 and under get in for free. General admission tickets are $20 or $10 for Hermitage members. VIP tickets are also available for $50 and include access to a private lounge, dedicated bar, and priority seating. You do not want to miss the final night of Roots and Rhythms Americana Concert Series. Get your tickets today at thehermitage.com. So it sounds like a lot of these species we're talking about are small and maybe slimy. People tend to find it easier to care about something that's like furry and has more personality.
Right.
These little fish, like, why should I care? You know, why is it so important to protect all of these endangered species, even the ones that aren't so cuddly?
How come we can't protect giant pandas here in the state of Tennessee?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, hellbender does not sound so cute.
Well, and I'll give you a few. The bald eagle, the barn owl, super cute animal.
Okay.
There are several bat, mole, mouse, shrew species. So if you like little fuzzy animals,
I love a bat.
There's those. You know,
The
eastern spotted skunk. I know a lot of people, when you go out and you see skunks, you're like, oh, it has stripes on it. There is also a spotted skunk that's found in the eastern part of the state. So you got to travel a little bit. And those are apparently pretty rare to see. And then there's a red squirrel is also endangered in the state as well. The 30,000 foot view. Why is this important to us?
Right.
I guess in a general sense I think we all recognize that life depends on other life on the planet, right? We all live in this great web of connectivity with life. In a creek system, the smallest of smallest animals live within a pebble base inside the creek system, and the animals that are a little bit bigger might feed on those animals, and then bigger animals than that feed on those. Well, if you cover up that pebble base with silt, if you have runoff that runs into the creek and you choke off that pebble base, you're choking off all the microorganisms that help sustain that basic pyramid, the bottom of that pyramid for the food system there. And on up it goes. All of the animals that depend on that all the way up are suddenly having to find other sources of food that they may or may not find. So in a general sense, we're supporting a web that we as humans don't fully understand. And the best we can do is try our best to keep the web intact and to keep it in place. All these animals have an importance of some kind. We may not know what they are, but that doesn't mean that we shouldn't keep them from disappearing off the planet. Most importantly, if we're the ones that are causing that, right? We understand that there may be some natural events that cause a small pocket of species to be eliminated from the planet. But if we're causing that through deforestation, through overdevelopment, through global warming, then we should also be responsible for managing those populations and doing what we can to help.
And that's why we're so thankful for the Nashville Zoo and all your conservation work that you also do.
Right. Yeah. And that's That's important to point out. The new exhibits that we build out here at the zoo, we're looking at species that are in need of support in the world. And we're bringing those animals to Nashville so people in Nashville can understand a little bit more about those animals. And every exhibit that we built, we make a conservation commitment to that species. It may be financial, it may be research, it may be boots on the ground. We may send people over to other parts of the world and help the people there towards conservation work actually in that animal's native range. There's lots of different ways that we can help.
There's so many people that are obviously skeptical of zoos. What do you tell them when they're super skeptical and they don't quite understand all the conservation work that you just explained? Or if they claim that zoos are more focused on profit, how do you respond to that?
It's certainly understandable because a lot of what the public understands about zoos is a transactional process. You pay your admission at the gate, you come in, you see some animals, your kids are entertained, you're entertained, and you go home. And it's an entertainment facility. That's really, I think, where the bulk of the criticism comes in, is that they believe that zoos are in place simply to entertain and make money. And we don't. First of all, we're a nonprofit organization, so anything that we make goes back into the conservation work. But more broadly, our mission is to educate people about these animals and to support them in their native areas, protect their environments, protect their homes, protect the species when we can. Many times that involves breeding them in captivity. And a lot of reason behind that is because their habitats are disappearing. They don't, it's not as easy as just saying, well, just let them go back to where they were. Well, a lot of places where they were don't exist anymore. We've developed over that. They don't have the ability to do that. I tend to think of zoos in general, and the breeding system with zoos in general, as kind of a one big arc that's creating these animals in a safe environment. But what's most important is to educate the people about the importance of these species and hopefully instill a little bit of care for these animals so people will go forward and say, yeah, I saw those at the zoo and I really want to learn more. I want to be educated more about that. I might want to go into a study for that. I can't tell you how many people that I've talked to that visit us or work here or volunteer here whose lives were changed when they went to a zoo and saw a particular animal and fell in love with it and wanted to learn more, and have done a tremendous amount of work trying to preserve that species, to make conservation efforts. So it does make a difference. Zoos do make a difference to be able to help with those environmental and conservation initiatives.
Well, the Nashville Zoo made me look like the coolest freaking ant, because my nephews came to town to visit. They were only here for 3 days. And out of the 3 days, we went twice because they wanted to go back. And it's so joyful to kind of share my knowledge that you all have obviously educated me on, and then pass that down to these kids.
Yeah, and we're the fastest growing zoo in the country. I mean, it's 188 acres, and we're developed on maybe half of that acreage, top 10 in the country as far as landmass. We are now looking at plans to build an orangutan exhibit, which is coming up in the next several years. So we're kind of in the plans right now with that. And the parking garage is done now, so there's plenty of room for people to park. It's now easier than ever to get into the zoo because we now have plenty of parking for people. That's something that we feel like we've been playing catch up with that for the past 20 years.
Well, I'll see you there.
All right.
Thanks, Jim.
Sure.
Hey, listeners, don't go anywhere. Coming up, we have a sponsored segment from TaskRabbit. I'm chatting with Supriya Sundaram to talk about how the platform is making life easier for Nashvillians and creating real earning opportunities for local workers. Hey y'all, Marie here with Supriya Sundaram, Director of Growth Marketing at TaskRabbit. Supriya, welcome to CityCast Nashville.
Thank you so much for having me.
TaskRabbit is this incredible app where you can find a neighbor essentially to come help out with a household task, or you can sign up to be that neighbor yourself. For anyone who hasn't used the app yet, What are the go-to tasks for people in Nashville?
So, furniture assembly and TV mounting, like getting your TV up on the wall for those flat screens, are huge for us, especially with so many people moving into the city lately. But we also handle other types of tasks like cleaning, moving help, and general home repairs. The goal is really ease and quality. So you can browse local profiles, see real reviews from other Nashvillians, and then pick the person that fits your budget and schedule.
So, Supriya, I actually hired a tasker to come to my house and help me move. This lovely gentleman pulled up in this big pickup truck and moved half of my belongings. I followed him along to my other location. He was so kind, so sweet, and didn't break anything. So I understand that TaskRabbit has been a real staple here in Nashville for a while, since that was several years ago. How have you seen the platform grow here in town?
It's been incredible. It sounds like a lot of people are having similar experiences to yours. We've actually helped Nashvillians complete more than 27,000 tasks over the last few years. Everywhere from East Nashville all the way to the Gulch, we've become really the reliable neighbor-to-neighbor resource for when life gets busy. We grew from a simple idea 16 years ago. Our founder just needed dog food on a snowy night and built a platform for it, into the #1 platform for home services.
Well, let's talk about the people doing the work. How does TaskRabbit support local contractors, or taskers, as y'all like to call them, here in Nashville?
So that this is a huge part of our mission, because we're not just a service, we're an engine for micro entrepreneurs. On average, taskers in Nashville can earn $47 per hour. So it's a really fantastic way to build a business or to make some extra money on the side. Taskers are their own bosses, so they set their own rates, their own schedules, and work areas. And what's most important is that they take home 100% of their hourly rate and 100% of their tips.
Wow. Okay. If someone is looking to sign up as a tasker today, what should they know?
If you're over 18 and you have a skill, whether that's painting, mounting, or just being handy around the house, we really want to hear from you. We can handle the back-end logistics so you can focus on the work. We also take safety very seriously, so every tasker goes through a multi-step vetting process, including identity verification and background checks.
Amazing. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to go ahead and schedule somebody to mount my TV that's been sitting there on the ground, believe it or not. It needs to be mounted ASAP. So thank you so much.
That's great. We're happy to help. Thank you.
If you're in Nashville and you need a hand around the house, or you want to start earning as a tasker, head to taskrabbit.com. We'll have that link in our show notes. Thanks for listening. That's all for today here on CityCast Nashville. And don't forget, you can support this show and get great perks by becoming a CityCast Nashville neighbor at membership.citycast.fm. If you enjoyed the show, why not tell your friends, rate the show, leave us a review, and subscribe to our CityCast Nashville newsletter. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. Toodles!